computer. Hi, everybody. This is April Cox, and this is our week number 6 for our author work group for new and aspiring authors. We have today special guest speaker, Lisa Caprelli, who is going to be talking with us about marketing, promotion, and branding. It looks like it's going to be a great informational session for us. But before we get started, I just want to thank you for your attendance. And if you are looking to move forward and join the next author work group, we are about 6 weeks out from ending this one. You can send me an email to get your name on the waiting list for the next one. We do have a limited number of slots. So feel free to send me an email at april@thelittlelabradoodle.com, and we will add you to the waiting list. So we're going to spend about 15 minutes just to kind of go through our weekly assignments before I pass it over to Lisa. Lisa, are you hearing me okay? All right, let's try to get through this, and then we'll try to connect. Hopefully Lisa will be able to connect with her audio. This week's assignments, so we're going to, every week I try to go through this to make sure that everybody is moving along on track. Be accountable, let's talk through it. Have you gone through your focus group? Are your edits complete for your manuscript? You should be at a point where you have mocked up your book. You have researched and decided what kind of a print option that you are going to have, whether that's print on demand or working with a local US-based printer or China-based printer, and we can help you through that if you're struggling there. You should have also started selection of the critical people that are on your team, so build your author team, your book team, including your graphic designer, illustrator, editor. So you should be past this and starting to work with your illustrator. Now that may mean working through a contract. It may mean that you're working on just illustrators and talking through getting some character designs, and I highly recommend that you do that. And make sure that the illustrator that you choose, number one, is willing to work on your terms. So if that means a work for hire contract versus a contract where you're sharing profits, royalties, percentage of the profits, you need to make sure that you both get on the same page, that you finalize the details in a contract, and that the individual that you're selecting is going to be able to get your vision down on paper. So starting with small character designs and working through that is a good place to begin. For myself, I am at the point now where we are creating a template and starting to do some storyboards. So I'm really excited to see how that progresses as well. Over to the right over here, I just wanted to show some of the different things that when I say create a template, in the top right here, you see that Nicole has laid out the words of my book. And as if I was to show you the whole thing, each page progresses. It's kind of the next stage of having a book dummy. And Len knows exactly where the guidelines are. He knows how much of a bleed that he'll have. He sees the spots where he'll be able to fill in the illustrations. So that's where we'll begin. He'll begin with the storyboards, and we just sent that over to him. On the bottom piece here, you'll see some completed storyboard spreads from my previous book. So you might see this is, rough drafts, but it gives a sense of how your story is going to be interpreted. And, you know, there's some back and forth, and there's some partnership that you need to do with your illustrator to get there. But it's going to be a lot of fun. And once you finalize the storyboard, then your time is going to free up incredibly, because you're going to be waiting as the illustrator works through a lot of the things that they need to do to take those high-level sketches and storyboards and turn them into finished colored designs. So I'm going to pause there. And does anybody have any questions about what we've talked about so far?
What size do you do your books, April?
I do 6x9, and it's been really good for me for the targeted age group that I'm going for, which is, you know, early readers. I wanted to be able to get the same size as what they typically throw in their backpack and what they're assigned at school.
Mm-hmm.
And I found it's also the perfect size for toddler hands to be able to read, and it's actually worked out really well.
And it translates well to Kindle, right?
Yes. Yeah, it does.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I did share in an earlier email that I did post a bunch of contracts. So I don't know if I mentioned while we were recording, but I actually spent quite a bit of money on putting some contracts together through my attorney. But I'm sharing my templates with you. You can go there. I also downloaded a bunch of templates from other places that are where you can get contract templates. So you're welcome to take a look at what I've got out there for templates, what others have. Just remember that my contracts were done by my attorney and, you know, generalized for the state of Rhode Island. So I don't know if you're going to have different needs. You may just want to have someone else review it or do a little research on, you know, what the differences are. But I think they'll get you 90% to where you need to be, and will give you a really good starting place to talk with your illustrator. When you're going through your contracts, think about work for hire versus royalties. Think of who owns the illustrations. What's the scope of work that you're expecting from this artist? And do you have, you know, I would say include a schedule that tells when you can expect certain deliverables from your illustrator or artist that you're working with. And if the payments are broken up into say 4 or 5 deliverables, I would also, I mean, if the deliverables are broken up, I would make sure that you spread your payments out as well. I've seen, and I've actually made mistakes where I've put money up front for a large amount of work, and then the individual that I worked with, and this wasn't Len, by the way, just dragged their feet on a specific task that was given to them, and I had no recourse. I had paid for everything up front. So I would just caution you to make sure that you put places where you have, okay, once you get to this deliverable and I approve it, now, for example, storyboard's complete, you get this much. Initially when you start the project, they're going to want some money up front so that they're not at risk. But then they get through the specific milestone, there's more payments coming. And that make sure that final payment is not given until you receive your book. Don't pay for it ahead of time, because once again, they're going to get new work. They're going to get new people coming in. And if they've already got all your money, it's human nature that the new clients are going to get their attention. So I would make sure that last payment incentivizes them to complete. And you may even want to put an incentive in there. If they meet their such and such a timeline, they would get a bonus of X. It's a good way to make sure that that you get the priority that you need and you stick to a specific schedule if schedule is critical for you. Any questions?
I have a question as far as an illustrator. When Len sends you the illustrations, are they in layers and you can manipulate something yourself, or are they just final?
They are in layers. And I would even say that because I've worked with other artists, like on my coloring book and things where I don't get things in layers, I would put that in the contract as a stipulation that that's what you expect to be delivered, that you have to receive the source files and that you expect them to be in layers so that you can then use them, manipulate them, and do what you need to.
What file type does he send them in?
You know what? I don't know, because that's between Nicole. I'm thinking that it's Photoshop or Illustrator files that he's sending over, but it always, yeah, I'm not 100% sure. But I know that Nicole has been able to like grab a bird and move it from here to here, or manipulate some of the images.
Right.
So I'm thinking it's Photoshop, although I'm not 100% sure.
Right.
Let me see if I can unmute Lisa. Hi, Lisa, are you hearing me?
Yes, finally.
Oh,
Sorry.
Yay!
No, I signed in from my phone, so I'll be on to. Sorry, everybody.
No, that's okay. And I knew that I had stuff to walk through, so I was messaging you on.
I saw that. Thank you.
So I figured you'd probably call in and do it, but I didn't want to hold things up. So I just have probably a few more slides left. I'll go through them rather quickly so we can switch over to.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
So, okay.
All right. So storyboarding, we talked about this. I'm not going to go into it too much, but those high-level drawings that show the flow of your book, make sure you use, number one, going into storyboarding, are you ready to is your text locked down? Is it approved by your editor? Is it all ready to go? Not that you're not going to make a tweak here and there later, maybe based on feedback from a beta reader or from early readings that you do with children, but you want to try to limit that as much as possible. So make sure your text is in a good place. When you're finished with the storyboard, make sure that that's in a really good place before you say, okay, go and make the colored versions. Okay, so don't be afraid to go back and make it what you need it to be. And this with Len, we had maybe 3 or 4 back and forths where he tweaked some things, and then we turned these into beautiful colored images, or I should say printed. And I would say talk with your illustrator and determine the format that the illustrator wants to have things in. When I did that a couple of days ago, this is what Len gave me. He said, I want the template to come to me like this, with like, so you can see there's 6 spreads, and that's what he's going to do. He's going to work on the first grouping of them, the second grouping, the third grouping. So that is what his preferred formatting is, and that's what Nicole will work on making sure he has. I had some trouble with last week's assignment going in and registering for copyright. So I threw a couple of slides in here, and I welcome anybody who needs some help with registering their copyright or getting the Library of Congress numbers. Take a look at the links that I have here. And if you can't get it, either contact me, put some time on my calendar through my website, or just come on Saturday's optional drop-in, and I'll be sure to kind of walk you through exactly what you need to do for yours. The reading also had some review topics, so I'm not going to go into them because we've already spoken quite a bit about this. I know it goes into a little bit more detail, but if anybody has questions, I'm glad to go through those questions either on Saturday or at the end of our time today. I know we did also talk about printing and ebooks versus print books, and Bobby went through a lot of that in her early discussions. So again, It was part of our reading. It does go deeper. If you've not done the reading, make sure you do so that you can get a full understanding and get back to us with any questions. There's also some great information about distributors versus wholesalers. Who are they? What type of information do you need to sign up? What do they do? Do they market your book? Do they not? So again, read through that stuff. We will take some FAQs, and Bobby will be with us next week. She wasn't here this week. So knowing that we have a lot to cover with Lisa, I'm just going to skim past this and ask you to dig deeper into the reading if you've not already, and then let's address some of these questions on Saturday or next week. Okay, I think we just started in the reading the topic of marketing. I did not read through the marketing section because I wanted to do it after having the ground understanding with our special speaker today. So does anybody have, I'll give it just 1 minute or 2 minutes, any questions about the reading or comments about what you've learned before we turn it over to our special guest speaker today? I know that was a lot, so spend some time in the reading and let's get together. I will be reaching out to everyone to put some time on your calendar to ask you to submit your survey and just talk through lessons learned so far and what we can do better. So please keep an eye open for my survey, and I will try to reach out to each one individually to schedule some time one-on-one.
I have a quick question, April.
Sure.
So I've been looking at a lot of kids' books, and I know Bobby says to put the copyright at the front, which is what I'd always seen. But when I went to Barnes & Noble yesterday, more than half of them had it on the last page. Is there a rule? Does it matter?
I think that, there's some standards out there that typically have them at the beginning, but I think it's perfectly fine to include it at the back, and it's probably allows you to get into your book a little more quickly instead of having that extra page up front. So I think it's completely a personal decision.
Okay.
All right, so Lisa Caprelli is here with us today. She is an author, and I will let her introduce herself, but she has been, her prior life, I'll call it her prior life, she has been doing marketing, branding, and promotions for years before she became an author. And I was very fortunate to have crossed paths with her and learned about her level of expertise. So I convinced her to join us today to talk all about marketing. So without further ado, thank you, Lisa, for joining us. And go ahead and introduce yourself, and I will pull up the presentation that you forwarded over as well.
Alrighty. Thank you. Well, thanks for having me, April, and everyone, and other future people that will watch this, because I know you record these, April, and you do such a great job. Thank you for having this platform to help so many.
My pleasure.
So one of the first, I started self-publishing over 15 years ago, and before Amazon and Kindle and just, the rapid pace of technology, I dreamed of being an author since I was 7. But as April said, I spent 25 years marketing, branding, and building companies from concepts, all kinds. I've worked with authors, I've worked with universities, I've worked with automotive attorneys, thought leaders, just so many variety of industries, that I was able to understand the concept of what their vision was and create a roadmap and to take the action steps. And I feel sometimes the action steps is what maybe deters people, because there's just so many things to get done. So the webinars like this, what you do, it shows the action steps. April, can you refresh that screen, or could I grab it to do, because I made some changes to that I think I'm looking at. Yeah. Or do you want, can you hear me?
Yep, I had muted myself just so that I wouldn't back on, but you know what? I can make you a presenter.
Okay, thank you. And I have used it before, and I apologize for the technical difficulty, just the technology world. I got my 13-year-old who's a YouTuber to come help me.
So I've gone ahead and passed the baton, so you should see a share button there.
Okay, well, share. Okay, do you see my screen now? Do you see my screen?
I'm not seeing anything, but I'm looking at the old stuff that I had open. Let me just close that. I don't see anything yet, Lisa.
Okay. Share, host disabled participant screen sharing, it says.
Oh, no.
Okay. Can you see me now?
Let's see.
How about now?
I'm gonna make you the host. See if that makes a difference. I selected co-host, but maybe this will give you more power.
All right.
You might when you go to share, I think you have to actually click on the window you want to share, and then it will make it available to us.
Okay. And I have done this before. I use them all the time.
Technology is fickle.
I know. I'm going to try. If not, I will have another
If you
solution.
prefer, you can send me the email with the updated presentation, and I'm glad to pull it up and share it for you.
Okay, let me do that. Share Prezi.
And you want to just message it to me in Messenger, I can just pull it up that way as well.
Right here. Okay, thank you guys. Yes, thank you. Because I did make changes right before this because I knew this was important to everybody. Okay, I sent it to you, April.
No problem.
So as you pulled it up, so my book, Color Your Message, in around 2009, I started seeing the change in technology with all inter-social media, as I often say. Yes, that's the one. Thank you, April. And so I saw the change in technology, and I knew I had to explain it and learn it and to retell what marketing was going to be like, since I saw the changes coming in 2007, 8, 9. So my book was published in, oh gosh, I can't remember now. But I got it to #1 of Amazon using marketing. I'm going to see when it was published. Isn't that crazy? I don't even remember. Oh, 2015. So I used marketing tactics. I did a lot of things organically, played with, publishing and things like that. And so we can start with the slide. Go ahead in the next one, April. There we go. Okay, so some background about me. I've been blessed to be a university adjunct professor teaching marketing to journalism students. I have a long radio career. A lot of people may not know that about me. I spent the early 2000s being on live FM and radio, FM radio and AM radio, and had talk shows. I orchestrated the messages and things like that, and built a very successful company in the early 2000s when I moved from Texas to California. And it was in mortgage and real estate, and I didn't know a thing about mortgage and real estate, but as often is the case in the businesses I market, I don't sometimes know a lot about them. And that's what's kind of fun is to dig deep and then create a customer for life, an experience. And so it's been so much fun to do that. And some more backstory. I grew up really shy, introverted. People often don't believe that because I've taught myself how to speak. I always said my only words were on paper. Maybe that's why I love being an author, like many of you can relate to. Okay, next. Okay, so the reason I call my book Color Your Message, and I often say to people, what color is your message? Is before 2009, there were things like the phone book, which many people, no one uses phone books anymore. So I kind of think of things as pre-2009 around more like a business dinosaur. Those were tools that we were using back then, fax machine, just so many different things to enter social media, as I said, and it has changed the lives of many people. What's exciting about social media that I tell people who complain or thought maybe it's going to go away, social media is not going to last. And I knew it was because technology is ever innovative, and technology moves faster than we can even imagine. And so I thought of a coloring book, a coloring box, colors, 24 colors. And I would tell people, imagine what the world would be like without color if it was only black and white. And so I think of the different colors as almost like a crayon palette system, as one color, blue for Facebook, purple for, it could be LinkedIn. And so I explain that analogy so that I get people excited about using today's marketing, because I'll tell you what, to be able to do a Facebook ad for as little as $3, $5, $50, $100, you could not do that on radio. Back in the days when I spent millions of dollars on radio, if I would have called up a radio station and said, I'd like to experiment with $10, they're going to hang up on you. So it's such an exciting time to be an author, which really being an author means you are an entrepreneur. And some other books I've written, I'm really proud of this new one, Unicorn Jazz. Today being National Unicorn Day, that's why I dressed up. I was speaking to people with my book. One of my favorite things working on. I've also written Skip a Step, Imparting Wisdom for Young Entrepreneur Minds, and I have a journal that goes to it. This is great for authors as well. So I often recommend other people to read some of that work. I also have a small guidebook called Writing Your Story and Turning It into a Published Book, using a roadmap and blueprint that I've used and what I use when I work with authors of all ages. I'm working with teen authors right now, and that's a lot of fun as well. Next. So remember Saturday morning cartoons? We used to wake up and we only had maybe 3 stations we can watch from. And now today, because again of social media into YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all these different things, we now can watch what we want to on our watch. It's no longer what I call like dictated to us. And so that's another exciting thing. And technology is really anything invented after you were born. So I just love to be excited and constantly learning. Most people our age, we didn't grow up with the internet in our pocket. Today the youth, that's what they have. They're able to Google it. We didn't go up with the terms Google it. So again, when people are Googling keywords or searches or keywords of your book or your business, are they finding you to lead to your website and all the things and on the platforms that you're going to sell your book on? Next. So this is some graph by Pew Research, and it's in my book, Color Your Message. I have several pages on Pew Research. So I actually went to hear a talk by someone who worked at Pew Research, and this on the top is this is called America's Aging Pyramid. And traditionally speaking, we were always like a triangle, meaning if you were 100 and up was at the top and 0 to 4 is at the bottom. And as decades go by, 10,000 people turn 65 each and every day. So the bottom shows a graph how there's just an equal amount, more and more of every age group demographic. And so what that means for me when I talk to people is, are you then targeting people based on your age category and then you're judging that? Because I oftentimes hear from people 50, 60 and over saying, well, I never use YouTube, so I don't want to do that. And I said, okay, but do other people use YouTube? You have to take perspective and look outside of you. And is your business not marketing to other generations that can use your services? It's a question for yourself. And most oftentimes we are. And that's why you need different ways of reaching your message to so many people. Thank you. So this is what I talk about in my book. I like to refer at social media as your social capital. And there is currency. Many people can attest to, they wish they had started years ago on Instagram, Facebook, or what have you. Well, you can do it now. And so each of these colors, again, I think of it as like a box of crayons where, who's doing your marketing? What does your branding look like? What does your website look like? Who's writing your content? SEO, search engine optimization, social media, of course, Google. Are we getting you found on Google? And what kind of content are we saying about your brand? And underneath each of those circles, it's like a tree, and there's so many different things. It can be so overwhelming. When I first talk to people, I get them to the basics. Depending on what kind of industry you are, who their target audience, I typically recommend to focus on 2 social media platforms. For children's books authors, I would say Facebook and Instagram would be my favorite for you, as well as developing a LinkedIn, because if you're going to go on interviews and things like that, people will find you on LinkedIn as well. And next. Okay, so I actually did a radio ad before called "Is Your Website Another Lazy Employee?" Meaning when we, back before 2009, having a website was more like a business card. And today, when someone goes to your website, you want to create a user experience. Do they get what you do? And granted, every author is different. Every author does different things, different messages. And when we go to your website, you almost want people to figure that experience. And, my website, lisacaprelli.com, I spent a credible amount of time on doing and changing as I have become more of an author. And I don't really take on marketing or branding clients anymore. I do refer them to someone in my team because I still have the marketing agency. But even for me, like I'm working on Unicorn Jazz because it is a new book, and I'm even hard on my team saying the website doesn't create the user experience of what we do. So it's a work in process. So I recommend for people to really pay attention to the website and put a lot of love in it, because that one website could be the mothership to everything you do when done correctly. Next. 92% of Americans have some type of online presence by the age of 2. So think about that. They have an iPad, they have the phones, they just can do it so intuitively. So again, it's so important that your website is mobile friendly. It's important that do you have YouTube videos? I often, my plan for like Unicorn Jazz is to have at least 1 video a week, and then that would go on my YouTube channel. And then you can put keywords in there, and all those keywords will lead to your website. When people, like for Unicorn Jazz, it would be unicorn book, unicorn birthday party, when people Google it, if they're not on Amazon. So you want people to find you on Google also, not just Amazon, and they can work together. Next. Thank you. Okay, so there's so many social media platforms: Pinterest, like I said, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and Google owns YouTube. So I like to say they're brother and sister. So I've done talks only on YouTube. I actually have, April, a full talk about YouTube, and that one is really, really well received because I show the back end of YouTube and how it works, and I break it really down. My 13-year-old is a YouTuber. His name is Trey Jam. He has over 100,000 subscribers, over 70 million views combined on his channel. So does YouTube work? Yes, it does. You don't have to go crazy, and again, because it comes down to time, but I recommend, if you're not going to do 1 video a week, do 1 a month. I mean, that's 12 a year. And if there's so many platforms out there that you can get them done inexpensively, including using your own phone today, that you never were able to do. So again, it's such an exciting time to be able to brand and market yourself with technology today. Okay, so this is, people talk about LinkedIn. Why do I need LinkedIn? I already have a job. That doesn't matter. Who's looking at me? People will look at you if you're getting considered for a talk. And as I get considered for talks, I just got, I'm going to speak to high school students the end of April for my book, Skip a Step. People take a look at my LinkedIn. Again, I've taught LinkedIn classes. I have over 5,000 connections. I've gotten business off LinkedIn as well. So again, if you don't have a fully developed LinkedIn, hire someone to do it. You can get it done so affordable. I know people that could do summaries for like, less than $100 and update it and change it as you change. So again, Google search. When people Google you, what do they find? Oftentimes, when I'm doing a talk, I have people stop and Google themselves because they don't even know what they're finding when they Google their name next to images, YouTube, and separate from that, Google the name of your book or your company and what are they finding. And those are things that you can actually be in control of. And, people say, why would people search my name? The last bullet point here. Well, if you're being recommended to someone, before they call you, think about it. You do this too. You Google them and you say, is this the person I want to work with? What are you finding? That's your digital footprint. And you can actually be in control of your digital footprint. Thank you. So this is an older number, probably more like 85% of our country uses Google. Again, when we Google it, when we're trying to find research on things, we no longer need encyclopedias. We can find things instantly through Google. So again, I bring this up to show that getting found in Google is very important, and it can be an additional boost to your marketing plan. Content marketing. So in marketing and branding, content marketing is what fresh content do you have out there, whether it's every other day, daily. Content marketing could be your social media messages. You can actually embed your Instagram into your website, and then it'll, as Google crawls your website, it'll see that there's fresh information out there. So content is king, as we've heard. And so it's the messages you write, it's the brand you put out. It could be, everyone knows what a blog is, I'm sure. And if you don't have time to manage a blog, you could do even little short excerpts, short statements about what you're doing. And now you're bringing fresh relevance to your website. And oftentimes you can grab that same content and repurpose it on Facebook, even YouTube. I've taken content that is static, meaning I've taken magazine ads and turn them into video, and I put voiceover into them. So there's many ways to repurpose your content, and rather than always try to think of something new, go back and look at what you've done. And most of the time you've done a lot. Learn how to resurface it. So Facebook ads are important, and there's ways to boost your Facebook ads to get them to either go to your website, directly to the book. There's so many people teaching Facebook marketing. I don't really focus on that much. I actually have a specialist that helps me as well. But absolutely, Facebook is important as well. Obviously, a lot of us are meeting through Facebook groups, and that's another important thing in the past few years. Facebook groups are so incredibly helpful, and Facebook wants you to be in a Facebook group. I'm actually looking to lead a Facebook group in the fall, and because I see the power of them. And again, they're free. Okay, your YouTube channel. So this is when I had a marketing client, and this was a med device company. And so we took a company that was a big national company. They had no YouTube channel. They were actually very successful without the YouTube channel, but you could become more successful. So there's a way to make your YouTube channel to actually look like a website, and you could create the playlist. You could put your headers in, and there's so many things that you can do here. Again, YouTube is going to be one of my favorite platforms for marketing, but I also recommend that you hire somebody or get someone who knows what they're doing, because that's going to be your brand. I oftentimes do not like when people put a camera on them and just record it and then put that as YouTube as their marketing. Now, I think that's okay for Facebook. I would not necessarily do that for YouTube, because to me, invest in a little bit better video, think it through. But there are software, there is software on your phone that you can use to create video as well. And you don't always have to put you on the camera. You could put your book. It could be pictures. It could be, you could have words or not have words. It is actually better to have a voice to it. Google does like that. But again, it just comes down to content. Google pretty much is saying, teach me what you're doing. Keep on feeding me so that more people can find you. So these are some top YouTube videos that I recommend for almost any product or brand. You're going to want to explain your video showcasing what you do. If you're an author, maybe some background about you that people can learn about you maybe before they meet you. And a lot of times people, before I meet them, already know so much of my history because they've looked at my YouTube channel and they're telling me things that, oh, I saw you did marathons, or I saw that, you're from Texas, or I saw you spoke at Pretend City, or whatever the thing is. And remember I told you that they're going to research you? They do. So video is a nice way of putting yourself out there. And so some people will do videos and never in their lifetime do YouTube videos again. And if that's what you're going to do, here's some top ones I recommend. But again, I think that you should feed the engine, feed YouTube. Sometimes people think I've only done 3 and that's fine for me. And I say, well, if you want to remain innovative, then I don't know that necessarily is going to help you achieve that. Again, the number one thing people don't do these things is they don't have time. That's the number one reason. I want to do all these things, I just don't have the time. Well, someday is not on the calendar, and I recommend outsourcing. You can get things done so inexpensive today. From the days where I would spend a lot of money doing this, I see it all the time. And it's so much cheaper to do almost any of this marketing. And I often tell people to look at marketing as an investment, not an expense. When done, your marketing should bring you back a return on your dollar, and you should be able to measure it. If it's not, then there's something not correct in your strategy. People are coming to your website, or they're not getting what you're doing. Because the way marketing should work is the first 3 months you're going to put a lot, then month 3 to 6, then the first year. And it should be where you're not having to put as much. You're seeing a return on a rate of return on the profits, and you're able to allocate. People often ask me what is the good percentage to allocate towards marketing. Well, that's a personal decision. I would say that 15% is good. I know that, again, like me, I'm with Unicorn Jazz. I'm not at this stage yet. I'm still working to do everything, but because I've seen marketing, I've seen what it does, I'm in the investing in myself stage, and I know it's going to pay off because I'm doing all of these things. I have a team that helps me, and we see the cogwheel just getting bigger and bigger. And again, I just want to encourage you to keep on going, keep on doing your marketing. If you pull that marketing away, no one's going to find you. It's going to be very rare that you get found. So as Michael Gerber says, who's in my book, Skip a Step, business is the most creative and challenging pursuit which one can engage. It's also downright fun. And so I welcome everyone to follow me. I'm Lisa Caprelli. Easy to find me, Lisa Caprelli, on most social media handles. And my website is lisacaprelli.com. Thank you.
Lisa, that was wonderful, and I'm sure we have a lot of questions out there. I'm going to unmute everyone so that you, actually, I'll ask you to unmute yourself so that you can ask a question. And Lisa, I know we only have 2 minutes before the top of the hour, but are you willing to stay a little bit later with questions?
Yes, if everyone has questions, sure.
Perfect.
I have a few questions, Lisa. Thank you for a great presentation.
Thank you, Susan.
So, let's see. Do you or your son, he's probably too young for it, but do you get dollars from advertising on YouTube? Because when I looked at it.
Good question. My son does. Again, it took him a while to get there, to get monetized. He's a YouTuber. He's 13 years old. He started doing it when he was 7. Wow. And he spent an incredible amount of time doing it. I mean, you can do it, but you're going to have to stay consistent. And again, depending on your genre, you're going to be putting a considerable amount of time that you're an author too, Suzanne?
I'm a new, yeah.
Yeah, so if you spend so much time on YouTube, I'm just afraid with your time, other areas are going to suffer versus if you hired someone. There's so many people on YouTube, and people ask my son all the time, and he's really the only one in his entire school that's a YouTuber, and it's a lot of work. I would say it's almost like writing a book all the time. That's all you're doing is writing. That's how I would just. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm just not quite sure, when you do a blog, how do you get it out there into the world? Where do you put it?
When I do a book?
A blog.
A blog. Oh, you want to put on your website. That's probably the most common. You can also be on other people's websites. I even like a form of blogging using your own Instagram and writing messages. People to follow on Instagram is Elizabeth Gilbert. She wrote Eat, Pray, Love.
Right.
She kind of has her messages, I would say like a blog, and she really connects with her readers. Again, if you can write fast and put out content and be consistent, put out a blog. Again, it's just measuring where your time is going. If you can get a team of 5 people to contribute to your blog, you contribute to them. Okay, and this is important. When you write a blog, you always want it to be original material. If I have the same article on April's website as a blog, Google kind of penalizes that. It says, oh, it's not original. So that's something else to consider.
So when you write a blog on your website, you hit a button that says post to Facebook or something, or?
Well, it's going to be a blog first on the website, and depending on your website design, you should have the ability to share it to other social media, I guess.
And on LinkedIn, do you pay for your account?
No, I never do. I don't think you have to. I've never paid for an account. I think it's more for you can, if maybe you're new and you're trying to get to people, but you can organically make it work for you.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you. Those are all the questions for now.
If you guys want to follow me on LinkedIn, I have a lot of followers from my business world, a lot of contacts, and I will look for you as well, Lisa.
Oh, good. Yes. Thank you. You know, it's so late for you guys. So I'm in California time, and so it's 5 o'clock here. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's 5 o'clock here.
Hi, Lisa. I have a question about your website.
Yes.
You said you don't pay for any of this? You don't pay for your website? You use one of the free ones?
No, I'm sorry. Because I have a marketing and branding company, my team built my website. I don't use Wix or any of those other websites. Over time, those can add up.
Yeah.
But the advantages of those is that you can build it yourself. And when I work with people and brands, they don't know what to put on their website. They don't know what content to put because it's all in your head, right? So I kind of like if people are building their own in the beginning. You know, it may take you 2-3 months to fully develop it, and then find a website developer that can take it where you own everything, you host everything, and it's a lot cheaper because you own it forever without having to pay someone a subscription every month, if that makes sense.
No. I've had a blog before on a website. I had to pay for the website. It was a .com. Are you using something else?
No, okay, so when you say website, the URL, I own the URL, but I do have to pay. There's places like
Okay,
GoDaddy,
right, okay.
like $10 a year. But
So
when it
you're
costs-
saying pay the designer one-time fee to set it
pay
up?
the designer, but again, you're going to have content changes. Who's going to do that? I've seen prices from $50 a month to $1,000 a month. I mean, people can charge really whatever they want. Again, I have an inside team. They do my work, so I don't know what today's going prices are. When people do come to me to do a website, we do it for anywhere from $3,500 to $5,000, depending on what they want. Those are rough estimates. But you can also pay as you go and be part of a hosting package on other websites. It's a personal decision. I would always say go versus waiting, and research. And there's a lot of groups out there, people that do websites, and I would get a referral.
Okay, thank you. And one last question. Can you back up 2 slides to the one that had the recommendations for what you put on your videos?
Oh yeah, the explainer video. And I also have a lot of this information, Nancy, is in my book, Color Your Message. It's a $3 Kindle book. I have that, and I think it's my video chapter. I have a chapter on blogging as well. So yes, it's a Color Your Message, coloryourmessage.com, or Color Your Message on Amazon. It's a paperback for $10. A Kindle's like $2.99. I have all of this there. I have social media ideas, all kinds of things to do. I have questions, startup questions for the new, entrepreneur or seasoned entrepreneur. It's really jam-packed with a lot of, today I give it to people when they come to me with an idea, startup, or they don't want to be a business dinosaur. I recommend it to April as well, and I know that you read it, April.
I did, and it was so jam-packed full of information. I really enjoyed it, but I know it's something that I'm going to have to go back and read over and over again, because sometimes you're reading through something and it's not quite applicable just yet, like YouTube piece of it, and I might have to go back and reread things over and over just to I think you get more and more out of it, and you understand more and more. But you did a great job explaining things, Lisa, and I love the book.
Thank you. And all my a lot of my top books are going to be audiobook this month, by the end of this month as well, because I've been asked to put them on audiobook. So Color Your Message and Skip a Step, and all of them will be an audiobook as well.
Yeah, since we had a lot of interest around websites as well, I can just share a little bit of my own experiences. I have an IT background, but I don't want to develop my website because it's, there's a lot of work to doing that. But what I've found is sites like Wix allow you to do things, you get a template and it's pretty easy to configure, and there's a lot of people who can easily help you. I know when I submitted an inquiry to Wix to get help on my website, I think I got quotes from anywhere from like a couple $100 to maybe 500. And then recently I stumbled across a website that is just beautiful, and she charges $99. It's a package deal. Hosting includes a year of hosting and all kinds of stuff. So I am I bought one, set it up, and I'm going to start trying to move my content over, and I'll give you some more information about how that goes, and you can watch my progress. But I am an IT professional, and I can help you if you are interested in, setting up a one-on-one and just talking through what needs to be done, or if you want to try out the either Wix or one of the other things. I can certainly do a little bit of hand-holding if you need help.
That's awesome. And Wix is a good one. I've seen it, and they're one step ahead in helping you design. So that's what's worth it. Again, I've spent decades building websites from scratch and doing that. So for me, I like designing my own, but so many people have not spent their lives designing websites. So I do like Wix, and it's not that expensive. Yes.
Lisa, I have a question. This is Tish. I'm sorry. I apologize for my voice. For those of us that are brand new to the author world, what do you recommend as our first source as far as online presence? What do you recommend we start with?
That's a great question. Well, again, without knowing what you've done, I do like having a Facebook page, which is different than your first personal Facebook, and you're going to want to build those out at the same time. I recommend Instagram, and I'm going to tell you why. 2 reasons. One is Instagram is owned by Facebook, and it just becomes bigger and bigger. And as I talked about the America's aging pyramid earlier, where these people are all growing up. So you're investing in that future client, but more and more people are using Instagram. Will Smith was quoted recently. He was off of Instagram, Will Smith. He was not on it. He went on it, and he has, look at his, look at him. Remember Will Smith? He says, I can't believe I didn't get on Instagram earlier. And so what I love is that, first of all, we're authors, and if you're a children's book author, we know what the power of photos do. What would our children's book be without the photos, right?
Right.
That to me is like what Instagram is. So you can have a message. We're writers, so thankfully you can write the message, how lucky you are. And you can support a photo that goes with it. So I kind of look at it as your personal photo scrapping portal that the world has learned how to use, who uses it, and if not, they learn how to use. And then what I love about Instagram is that you can embed it on your website. I have it at the bottom. So now you have images changing when people go to your website. You can go back. When I'm having a meeting with people, I actually will refer to things on my Instagram as I want to paint the picture of what I'm doing, the story I'm telling. So those would be the top ones. Now, once you develop that, you do want to have a website, because the website is going to be your calling card. It's going to talk about what you're doing. If you're going to be a speaker, we should find everything there. What are you talking about? We should know. Show me what you've done. It should be there. It should be the one place, your mothership, versus me going here and there. Like, again, sometimes people are going to look at you 30 seconds or less. If you're not giving them that roadmap to find what you do, they're not going to go hunting for you. They're just not. So make it easy. That's why I do like the website. And after you develop that, I would recommend YouTube. I would recommend LinkedIn along the way as well. I also recommend to people to get an intern if this can be overwhelming. There's so many interns out there that on average have to give 120 hours a semester to someone. Again, check the laws in your areas and things like that. But I love work. I have had interns that teach me. Again, remember I talked about innovation growing so rapidly. So if this is overwhelming for you, rather than saying I'm not going to do it or I'll get to it, if you cannot get to the top marketing pieces, some of them that I talked about, you need help. Either you're going to outsource, hire people, you're going to get an intern, you're going to get someone in your family to help you that knows what they're doing and make a commitment. You should not spend all your time marketing, because now you're not being an author, you're not being a speaker. And so even for me, I do a lot of things and I'm directing them, but I'm passing my website to my team. I have an Instagram girl. I can go on there and make sure she's doing a good job. I can post. You know, it's always nice to know what's going on. Don't ever not stop learning. But those would be the top pieces I recommend.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Some great tips. Do we have any final questions before we go?
Thank you, April.
Thank you so much. This was really wonderful, and I will share the recording with you. I think it would be a great thing, and I will post it on my YouTube. I have YouTube, but with your permission, I would love to put it.
Please share it, and and just tag me in it. That's always important, and I will do the same. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye.